They said I didn't fit their image, cut me out of our family legacy like I was just extra smoke in the air. But when I walked away, I didn't just take the recipes. I took back our soul. Their brand crumbled without it. I grew up in the back kitchen of Grandma Ruth's BBQ joint, standing on a milk crate just to reach the smoker. While other girls played house, I learned how to balance heat, spice, and patience. In our family, the fire wasn't just for cooking, it was for staying together. I always thought I'd be the one to carry it forward. When Bailey came home from business school with a fiancé named Jonas and a PowerPoint full of buzzwords, I didn't feel threatened. I felt proud. She said they wanted to expand Ruth's into something bigger, a national brand, open more locations, bottle the sauces, maybe even land a feature in Southern Living. I imagined us doing it together, me with the recipes, her with the spreadsheets. Fire and finesse. She asked me to start digitizing Grandma's recipe cards. I spent weeks scanning, labeling, annotating the notes written in Ruth's delicate cursive. Little instructions like, let the sauce sit a day, like grief, or don't rush the ribs. Nothing good ever came from rushing. I cried more. Then once. It felt like communion, like legacy. One day, I noticed I wasn't on the email thread for the investor call. Bailey brushed it off, said it was just high-level logistics for now. We'll loop you in for the flavor stuff, she said. I laughed, played it down. I told myself it made sense. I wasn't an MBA. I didn't wear heels. I didn't know how to pitch. Still, something stung. Then came the branding shoot. Jonas wanted a clean aesthetic. Less rustic, more refined. Bailey texted me a photo of the outfit rack. Sleek white aprons, linen button-downs, no denim. She said, bring something simple. Not too smoky. I stared at that message, longer than I should have. Not too smoky. That was our identity. But I went. I wore the only plain shirt I owned. I smiled for the camera and stood 3 steps behind them. Jonas said I gave the vibe of heritage, which I guess is a nicer way of saying old. I kept telling myself the same thing. This is just the awkward part of growing. Transitions are messy. They'll come around. Then, over lunch, Bailey slid her laptop in front of me. Want to see the deck? It was the pitch for Ruth's expansion. New logo, sleek black and white photos, mission statements with phrases like modern tradition and culinary elevation. The bio section showed Bailey and Jonas. Visionaries, innovators, legacy torchbearers. There was no photo of me, no mention of me at all. I scrolled, hoping maybe I'd missed something. A quote, a mention, even a footnote. Nothing. She was watching me. I felt her eyes like heat on my skin. We figured it was cleaner to keep the leadership tight, she said, her voice light, practiced. You're still the soul of the original spot, and that means everything. I nodded. My throat tightened. I said nothing. But inside, something buckled. It wasn't the omission. It was how casual it all was. Like I was a seasoning they'd chosen to leave out, not because it wasn't good, but because it didn't fit the palate. We'd stood over the same fires, cleaned grease traps together. I was the one who held her in the walk-in freezer when she had her first panic attack during the dinner rush, and now I was just branding clutter. That night, I stayed late at the restaurant. I sat on the floor in the pantry with Grandma's tin box of recipes in my lap. I didn't open it. I just held it like a memory that didn't know it was about to become evidence. I didn't cry. Not then. But I felt a quiet unraveling. The kind you can't stop once it starts. They hadn't just cut me out of the business. They were starting to rewrite the story like I'd never been in it. And somehow, that hurt more than if they'd come right out and said, "We don't need you." Because they didn't say it. They just stopped seeing me. And I realized When someone erases you gently, it's not mercy. It's erasure that doesn't even think you'll notice. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't always show up in fire and shouting. Sometimes it arrives dressed in soft colors, with a smile and a pitch deck. After that meeting with the investor slide deck, the one where I didn't exist, I went home and sat in my truck for nearly an hour. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, hands on the steering wheel, staring through the windshield like something might come into focus if I held still long enough. I told myself it was a mistake, an oversight. I was still part of the plan, just behind the scenes. That's what they kept calling it, the soul of the original spot. Like I was a piece of decor, authentic but stationary. The next morning, I opened the Instagram account for the franchise launch. Bailey and Jonas had hired a whole marketing team. Their first post was a video. Soft piano music, close-up shots of sizzling ribs, smoke curling through polished kitchen tiles. Bailey narrated over it, talking about family roots and honoring Grandma Ruth's legacy with a modern twist. Then came the tagline, "From Ruth to us. A new chapter begins." My name didn't appear once, neither did my face. The comments flooded in. "This is stunning. Bailey and Jonas are preserving history in the most beautiful way. Ruth would be so proud of you both." I refreshed the page. Scrolled again. Nothing. I checked the bio. The founders were listed: Bailey and Jonas, visionaries, partners, legacy keepers. I scrolled until my thumb cramped. Still nothing. It's strange. The moment you realize you've been deleted in real time. Not yelled at, not confronted, just brushed off the timeline. Later that day, I got a text from Bailey. No greeting, no warmth. Bailey: "Hey, can you email me the final version of the rub recipe doc? Marketing wants to finalize the flavor profile for the investor boxes. Not please, not thank you. Just a request for what she saw as her due. The recipes I'd spent hours typing, double-checking, refining." I didn't reply. A few hours later, another message. This time from my mom. "Mom, I think Bailey's just stressed. Try not to take it so personally." That line, "Don't take it so personally," is the anthem of people who want you quiet while they benefit. I stared at the screen until the words blurred, then flipped my phone face down on the counter. The next day, Odessa, our cousin, sent me a message. She's always been close to Bailey, but never mean about it. She played neutral better than anyone. But that morning, she must have slipped. The text was short. Odessa: "Oh crap. Meant to send this to Jonas. Please ignore." Attached was a screenshot. It was from the business group chat Bailey had set up. I wasn't in it, obviously. The screenshot showed a message from Bailey. "Jenna's too tied to the old vibe. I know she means well, but she's not scalable. Jonas says we need to trim anything that doesn't align with the new aesthetic." Beneath it was Jonas. "Exactly. Legacy is fine for PR, but we don't want her slowing us down." Then, the worst part. My mother had replied, that emoji again, like approval, like permission, like silence, but with a nod. I sat down on the pantry floor of the restaurant. Same place I used to hide when I was little, back when I'd sneak fresh cornbread and sit in the dark, listening to Grandma Ruth hum while she stirred the beans. This time, I didn't hum. I didn't move. It felt like my body had stopped fitting, inside itself. They weren't just cutting me out of a project. They were repackaging my life and selling it without me, and calling it a favor. That night, I called my mom. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear her voice crack. Maybe I wanted her to say it wasn't true. She picked up on the second ring. "Hey, sweetheart," she said, cheerful like she was reading off a script. "Everything okay?" I didn't say anything at first. Then, "Did you mean it?" A pause. "Mean what, honey?" "That I'm not scalable. That I'm in the way." She sighed. That familiar, tired sigh that always came right before I was asked to be the bigger person. "You're twisting things again. This is Bailey's time. You should be proud." "I was," I said. "Until you all pretended I was a piece of furniture." She went quiet. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," she said eventually. "We're just trying to build something that lasts. Without the person who's kept it going this whole time. You've always been reliable. We just don't want you to be overwhelmed." Overwhelmed. That was how they framed being erased. As a kindness. I hung up without saying goodbye. That was the last time I called her. The next day, I went to the restaurant early, before sunrise. I unlocked the back door, stepped inside, and made myself a cup of coffee in silence. Then I pulled out Grandma Ruth's recipe box, the old green one with the broken latch. I slid it into my tote bag and went into the office. The hard drive with the digital recipes? I wiped it clean. No backups, no folders in the cloud. Everything I'd given them, every formula, every tip, every modification Ruth and I had tested over 2 decades, I deleted. I didn't tell anyone. No big speech, no dramatic storm-off, just a quiet untying of the rope I'd used to hold this family together. Then, right before I left, my phone buzzed. Bailey again. "Bailey. Marketing's asking again for the rub blend specs. We need it for the influencer boxes. Can you send today?" I stared at her message, then typed one back. "You have the name, but not the soul. Don't expect me to save your hollow empire," and hit send. She didn't reply. I drove to a cabin too, towns over. One Grandma used to rent when she needed a break from everything. I unlocked the door, dropped my bag, and sat at the tiny kitchen table. There was a small grill on the porch. I lit a fire. As the smoke drifted up into the dusk, I felt something let go, not them, me. I wasn't waiting anymore. Not for their respect, not for their apology, not even for their collapse. I wasn't trying to belong in a version of the story where I was always meant to be the background. I deleted the evidence. Now I was rewriting the ending. It didn't take long. 3 days after I deleted the files, I started hearing whispers. The test kitchen launches failed. The ribs were bland, the sauce inconsistent. Bailey tried to tweak the recipes herself, but you can't copy something when you don't understand where it came from. The flavors didn't stick. Neither did the investors. A week later, the influencer boxes went out. People posted photos, confused captions. "Looks great. Tastes. Okay?" Some asked where the real recipe went. A few old customers from our original spot commented, "That's not Ruth's rub." The brand lost steam before it ever left the ground. And then came the fallout. One afternoon, I was sipping sweet tea on the porch of the cabin, the sky turning that soft blue-gray before dusk, when my phone lit up. Bailey. 4 missed calls, 2 voice messages, 1 text. "Please. We need to talk. It's not working. They're pulling out. Just send the files. This isn't the time to be petty." Petty. That word settled in my chest like a cold stone. The same girl who deleted me from our family's story now expected me to fix the ending. Then my mother called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "She's devastated, Jenna. Everything's falling apart. You're her sister. This isn't how families fix things. No apology, no ownership, just expectation. Like I was the firefighter for a blaze. They lit behind my back." The only message that landed came from Odessa. She sent a photo of the old restaurant, packed. A crowd gathered outside the front porch. A handwritten sign on the door read, "Free cookout, Grandma Ruth's recipes. 1. Night only. I hadn't posted anything. Word had just spread. People brought photos, old receipts, stories. I stood behind the grill that night, just like I used to with Grandma. A little girl came up with her mom and asked, "Are you the one who makes the smoky beans?" I nodded. She smiled like I was magic. It wasn't viral. It was real. The next morning, I opened my inbox. A letter from a lawyer, formal, cold. Jonas was trying to claim intellectual property rights on the brand. I didn't respond. I forwarded it to a friend of Grandma's, an old-timer attorney who'd eaten our food since the 80s. He handled it quietly. Bailey sent one last message. "You win. Hope it was worth it." I didn't reply. Because it wasn't about winning. It was about remembering what I was never supposed to forget. Later that week, Odessa showed up at the cabin. She brought a letter. Said Grandma had written it before. She passed, left it tucked in an old cookbook. It was short. "Jenna, if they ever try to take the story, let them. You hold the fire. They can't sell what they don't understand. Keep the soul safe. Ruth." I read it 3 times, then folded it into my wallet. That letter didn't feel like a weapon. It felt like permission. I didn't reopen the restaurant. I started something smaller, a cooking circle. Just a few women, Sunday evenings, teaching them Grandma's recipes. Not to sell, to remember. The first time I taught someone how to fold Ruth's cornbread dough, I felt something click back into place. Not like the past returning, but like I was stepping into something that had always been waiting. I didn't miss the calls. I didn't chase closure. I let silence do the talking. Now, every Sunday, I light the smoker behind my house. Students bring their own aprons. We cook. We laugh. We talk about what it means to preserve something without turning it into product. And when people ask if I miss being part of the big launch, I just smile. Because here, in the backyard with smoke curling through rosemary, I finally feel like I belong. I used to think loyalty meant staying, even when I was being erased. I thought silence was grace, that love meant shrinking yourself for the sake of peace. But peace built on erasure isn't peace. It's permission to disappear. And I'm done disappearing. Have you ever had to walk away from something you built just to protect your peace? Did someone ever try to erase you from your own story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm listening. And if this hit home, hit that like button so I know. You're out there. Thanks for being here. And remember, you hold the fire.